will release you so that you can tell us the last thing you wanted to talk about is the sugar versus your new secret of molasses. And I'll let you take that away.
Okay, so please bear with me. It's a bit of a long story, but it's worth the wait. So in class, we learned about monosaccharides, saccharide being sugar, polysaccharides, disaccharides. So mono means one, di means two, and poly is three or more. So, in class, it's like, yeah, okay, sugar, yeah, one, two, whatever, sugar. So I was making jumbo cinnamon rolls, and I've always been using regular granulated sugar. And I thought, oh, they're nice. They're great. They're nice cinnamon rolls. So my sister's a science teacher. I was proofing her science labs. Anyway, we got on the topic of yeast. And I was like, I've made some really nice cinnamon rolls. I decided to use some invert sugar meaning liquid as opposed to granulated. I was like, oh, and they just turned out a little bit nicer than that. And she said, well, if you want to see your yeast really go to town, throw some molasses in there. And I was like, oh, really? So the next time I made them, I decided to change up the recipe and I threw molasses off in there. And oh my gosh, it was like night and day. I now have jumbo cinnamon rolls. And so I was talking to my sister and said, hey, you know what? It was really cool that you gave me that tip because it made all the difference in the world. And so we got to talking about the science behind it. And that is, so a polysaccharide, granulated sugar, is made up of polysaccharides, which are big molecules. So the yeast is a little bitty tiny organism. So it's trying to eat this big chain of sugar. Well, the molasses is a mono, meaning one. So it's a little bitty tiny sugar. So if you can imagine the yeast being tiny, can eat that tiny polysaccharide so much easier than it can the granulated sugar. So anyway, I thought it was just really, really cool to see science in action. And that is, your yeast can eat that monosaccharide much easier than it can the poly. So I've now switched over to molasses, and believe it or not, the clients, our wholesale clients, are saying, oh my gosh, these are so much more pretty, they're so much bigger. And so now we have truly jumbo cinnamon rolls, and the secret has been just the sugars.
Yeah, so it is kind of funny because we have a wholesale client who's been with us for over a year, and we've been using the same recipe, and then we made these new jumbo recipe with the molasses, and she was like, OMG, like these things are gorgeous. As a matter of fact, she took a picture and everything. She's like, we love them. They're so pretty. So we had beautiful jumbo cinnamon rolls before. Now we have amazing jumbo cinnamon rolls, and it was just as simple as the molasses. And like I was telling you the other day, I don't remember what day 2, day 3, they kind of blended together in my head, but the other day I was telling you, my family is really supportive and they help out a lot. And this is just one of the examples of how my aunt stepped in and she's like, oh, well, as a science teacher, I've got some insight for you, and gives more insight. And it made our recipe even greater. As a matter of fact, she's been the one, since I'm here in Florida and my sister's been working, my aunt has actually been helping design our new retail space. And so my mom and my aunt have been hanging out this past couple of days, designing and working through a bunch of stuff. So it's really nice that it's not just my mom, my sister, and I, but my entire family is really supportive and gets involved. Wouldn't you say, Mom?
Well, what I would, yes, absolutely. I mean, it's great. But what I was going to say is I'm the math girl in the family. I'm not the science. Obviously, my sister's a science person. So for me to see science in action, I was like, whoop, whoop. Anyway, it was pretty cool.
Especially for it to benefit us in such a great way.
Right? I know, exactly.
Yeah. So that is why you will see that this recipe calls for molasses, and that's the information behind why we've switched to molasses. And honestly, it has made for a very great product for us. We're very excited. It is the recipe that we are going to be using going forward in all of our wholesale and in our retail space. So we're really excited about those. A beautiful cinnamon roll. So we wanted to share that information with you guys.